The night was quiet and the moon sat high above the earth, casting silver light upon the world and softening even the sharpest corners of stone and mountain. In that gentle glow a traveler lay down to rest upon a pillow of dreams, and soon the air shifted around him, carrying him not into ordinary sleep but into a wandering dream where the past and present folded together. The dream did not move with haste but glided with calm footsteps, as though it knew the purpose was not to rush but to soothe and to share stories hidden within walls and arches and domes. He found himself standing before the pyramids of Giza, their vast forms resting beneath a desert sky that seemed endless. The stones whispered of thousands of hands that had carried them and shaped them under the burning sun. The traveler felt no heat here, only a coolness like the desert at night, and he listened as the pyramids spoke of the pharaohs who sought eternity not in riches but in the idea of remembrance. Each block was a voice in a choir of ages telling him that greatness does not pass away when it is set in stone. The stars above echoed their calm, and the traveler felt his breath slow as though aligning with the eternal patience of the monuments. From Egypt the dream carried him gently like a river current to Greece, where the Parthenon rose upon its hill above Athens. Its columns, though weathered, still stood proud in the moonlight. They hummed with the rhythm of poets and philosophers who once walked the marble steps. The traveler could hear voices reciting words about virtue and balance and beauty. The temple spoke of devotion to the goddess Athena, yet it also whispered of the devotion of people to ideas larger than themselves. He walked among the columns, not feeling alone but held by the quiet presence of minds long gone yet still speaking. The marble seemed to sigh in contentment that it had carried so much history yet still welcomed dreamers in silence. The dream shifted again without effort, and now he stood beside the Colosseum in Rome, its grand arcs and shadowed passages breathing with memory. He saw not battles but the architecture itself, speaking of ambition and ingenuity. The stones carried laughter and sorrow both, yet in this dream only the calm echoes remained. He felt as if the arches cradled him like arms of history, saying, "Here too is a story of humanity striving for permanence." The moonlight traced every curve, and he walked slowly around the arena, feeling its vastness dissolve into a quiet stillness that made his eyelids heavy. Next he drifted eastward and found himself before the Tajmahal. The marble glowed like frozen moonlight, and the reflection upon the water doubled its beauty. The dream was filled not with crowds but with silence and the soft fragrance of jasmine. He listened as the domes and minarets told the story of love so strong that it became a monument beyond time. The traveler felt the tenderness of stone, shaped not for power but for memory of a heart once beating. As he traced the cool marble with his dream fingers, he felt sorrow and beauty interwoven in a calm embrace, and his spirit softened as if wrapped in a shawl of peace. The dream continued, carrying him to the mountains where Machu Picchu rested among clouds. The stones here were rougher, yet they fit together so perfectly that no hand could slip between them. They whispered not of kings or gods but of harmony with the land itself. The terraces spoke of patience, of planting and waiting, of lives lived in balance with the sky and earth. The traveler felt the mountain air cool upon his face, though he knew he was asleep. The whisper of the stones was like a lullaby, reminding him that human hands once shaped not to conquer but to coexist. From mountain mist he was carried to the far east, where the Great Wall of China stretched across valleys and ridges under a moonlit sky. It appeared endless yet quiet, as though resting after centuries of watching over fields and villages. He walked upon its path slowly, each step echoing into the stillness. The wall spoke of effort of millions of hands and years, yet also of the desire for safety and continuity. The stones murmured that protection is another form of love, though born from fear. The traveler felt no weight of history pressing upon him, only a deep calm as the wall extended into dream distance. Now the dream led him across seas to the temples of Angkor, where tree roots embraced the ruins. Moonlight slipped between the carvings of dancers and guardians. The stones here did not resist time, they welcomed it, allowing nature to weave herself into the walls. The traveler heard their soft voices saying, "Beauty is not always in preservation but in surrender and in the harmony of stone and root." The sound of insects in the dream forest became part of the lullaby, and he felt himself drawn deeper into rest. At last, for this part of his dream, he was carried to France, where the cathedral of Notre Dame rose with shadows of its towers reaching toward the stars. The stained glass glimmered faintly with moonlight, and the traveler heard the faint music of organ pipes, though no one played them. The cathedral whispered of prayers carried for centuries and of light captured in color. It spoke of hope in times of fear and of refuge for the weary. The traveler sat within the dream cathedral and felt the stone around him cradle his heart. It was as if he too had been welcomed into the long patience of history, and in that patience his body grew lighter and his thoughts quieter. The dream held him in stillness, and though he knew there were more wonders to see, he allowed the soft voices of these monuments to lull him. He rested upon the whisper of stone and the embrace of time, and the night continued to carry him deeper into sleep. The dream did not fade with the silence of the cathedral, but instead opened once more like a great door, and the traveler stepped into another realm of stone and memory. He was guided without haste to Spain, where the towers of the Alhambra glowed under the stars. The courtyards shimmered with fountains whose water seemed like liquid moonlight. The walls were carved with patterns that repeated endlessly like the rhythm of breath. They whispered of scholars and poets who once wrote of beauty and wisdom within these walls. The traveler felt the calm of running water and the balance of geometry, reminding him that harmony can be shaped as carefully as stone. He breathed in the stillness and felt the world soften again, as though wrapped in velvet night. From Spain the dream carried him north to the land of castles along the Rhine. He stood before one built upon cliffs, its towers reaching into mist. The stones told stories not of battles but of guardianship and of families who once looked upon the river hoping for safe return of loved ones. The traveler walked through halls that no longer echoed with footsteps yet still held warmth of memory. He felt that castles are not only fortresses of stone but fortresses of longing and waiting hearts. The river below shimmered in his dream and lulled him with its steady flowing song. Soon the dream lifted him higher and carried him to the snowy lands of Russia, where the domes of St. Basil's Cathedral rose like painted flames against the winter sky. Their colors softened under the moon as though woven from fabric rather than stone. The cathedral whispered of faith and endurance, of people who faced bitter winters yet lifted their eyes always toward beauty. The traveler felt warmth though the dream was filled with snow, and he realized that monuments sometimes stand not to resist coldness of earth but to ignite warmth within hearts. The domes sparkled gently as though stars had descended to rest upon them, and the traveler drifted deeper into comfort. From Russia the dream floated eastward again across mountains and seas until he stood upon the ground of Japan, where a temple rested beside a still pond. Its wooden beams glowed like amber under moonlight and the water reflected it perfectly. Here the whisper was softer, almost like silence itself. The traveler listened closely and heard the stones and would say that beauty is found not in grandeur but in simplicity, in the stillness between breaths. The pond mirrored the dream sky and he felt as if floating between earth and heaven. This quiet balance filled him with serenity so gentle that even his thoughts grew faint. Now he was carried to Istanbul, where Hagia Sophia stood timeless between continents. Its dome shone under moonlight, vast and weightless as though held by air. Within the dream the traveler stepped inside and saw mosaics glowing faintly and columns rising like trees of stone. The building whispered of faiths that came and went, of voices that prayed in different tongues yet all sought the same peace. The dome seemed to cradle the stars themselves, and the traveler felt himself small yet safe within its embrace. It was not only a monument, it was a sky held close to earth, and in that sky he rested. From there he drifted south to the deserts once more, where Petra lay hidden among cliffs. The great facade carved into rose stone glowed under starlight. It whispered not with grandeur but with mystery, as though guarding secrets of lives long gone. The traveler touched the stone and felt its warmth even in the cool dream night. The walls said that memory is not only in palaces but also in hidden cities carved by hands that wanted to belong to the land itself. He felt wonder but not urgency, for in this dream everything was slow and gentle like the passing of time itself. Then the dream took him far across oceans to the temples of Chichen Itza. The steps of the pyramid stretched upward and the moon painted each one in silver. The stones whispered of calendars and stars, of people who measured time not in hours but in heavens. The traveler stood at the base and felt the weight of cosmic rhythm, yet it was not heavy, it was like the beat of a drum lulling him further into rest. The monument did not speak of endings but of cycles, like night flowing into morning only to return again. The dream shifted once more, carrying him to the city of light, where the Eiffel Tower rose against the Parisian sky. It shimmered like lace made of iron. The tower whispered not of ancient kings but of modern wonder, of hands that dared to build high into the sky, not for worship but for vision. The traveler felt lifted as though rising with the tower into calm night air. The steel sang softly of dreams that reach upward, of humanity's wish to always see farther. It did not weigh him down, it carried him gently as though he too had wings of iron. And finally the dream brought him to New York, where the Statue of Liberty stood upon her island holding her torch toward the heavens. In the moonlight her face was calm, her gaze steady. She whispered not of stone but of hope, of millions who crossed seas looking for new beginnings. She told the traveler that monuments are not only built for memory but also for promise. He felt the torch glow not with fire but with warmth and comfort, as though lighting the way within his very dreams. The traveler had now walked among wonders from desert to mountain, from east to west, and though each spoke in different voices, all carried the same gentle truth. They whispered that time is vast, yet it is kind to those who listen, that beauty is not lost when years pass but becomes softer, deeper, more embracing. He felt his heart lighter, as though each stone had carried away a weight of waking life. The dream did not close suddenly but slowly, like a book being gently shut. The monuments faded not into nothing but into a soft background hum like distant lullabies. The traveler lay once more upon his pillow of dreams, and the night wrapped around him like a cloak. His breath moved with the rhythm of centuries, calm, steady, and timeless. The whispers of stone lingered in his mind, not as loud voices but as faint comfort, reminding him that he was part of something enduring and beautiful. And so he slept deeper and deeper, while the monuments kept their watch under the eternal moon, whispering not to disturb but to soothe, to remind, to cradle. In that embrace he drifted beyond dreams into the still quiet sea of rest, where even the whispers faded and only peace remained.